Hello, I'm Raichele, Privette for GALvanize. I'm joined by the new face of Charlotte FC, Tiffany Blackmon. Tiffany is currently the host and producer for Charlotte FC, the 30th franchise to join Major League Soccer. Very exciting news, Tiffany. Tiffany is very familiar with the Charlotte area. In her most recent role, she worked for the NFL Network, where she actually covered the Carolina Panthers, and she did that since 2015. And also, fun fact, Tiffany started playing soccer at the age of 8 years old, and she also went on to play at Georgia State University all 4 years in college. So thank you so much for joining me.
Where my school. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course, of course. So first and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. This is such a weird time that we're all in and everyone's connecting via Zoom or whatever other apps they can use. And so, but I'm doing good. I'm a homebody. So at least from that standpoint, this doesn't really faze me from that much. How are you?
I'm doing good, hanging in there, taking each day one, day at a time. So yeah. But I guess what has been bringing you the most joy since we've been on quarantine?
Ooh, the most joy I would say is finding workout equipment. So it's crazy because no one could go to gyms for a period of time. Some have reopened. I'm still not going there. So I've been scouring when I'm not working, scouring websites and finding dumbbells and collecting. I've got a pretty good collection now. So I've always worked out, and so I'll probably do it after this, and that's been keeping me busy. And then I've got my sidekick, my dog, who's passed out from sunbathing next to me. You can't see him, but I'm sure he'll get up and walk up. So teaching him tricks and walking, and so it's been good.
And a part of this Who Not Do series is I'm very familiar with your do, and I respect and admire, and I'm a huge fan of your do. But I guess when it comes to who you are as a Black woman, where would I start? Like, if I'm trying to get to know who you are, where would I begin?
I think you could begin with, I've really tried hard to just embrace like who I am, being Black, but also where I grew up, all these different things, all my different interests. And I think that as we've seen in today's world, and even, long before the fight for social injustice that's been happening now, there's just so many stereotypes about Black people, Black men. There's stereotypes about every race, but in particular, I find that one of the ways I try to just stay true to who I am is not, I like Coldplay. Some people might say, hey, that's a little weird. I like being outside. I like going on hikes and stuff like that. There are so many different parts that make up who I am. I'm proud to be a Black woman, excuse me. And I'm proud to embrace, all of my experience, because that ultimately makes me who I am. And, and I'm Black, but I can do all these different things.
Speaking of being a Black woman, I've noticed that on camera several times you rock braids. And where did you get the confidence or to embrace your crown?
This is where I can actually talk probably more fluently. I covering training camps, and for so long as NFL Network, as you had mentioned, for 5 years, and it's hot, and I covered the Southeast, and it's hot. And so it wasn't until my last year there that, I felt like, what, I'm going to do it. I'm tired of putting all this heat on my hair, I think Tracy Ellis Ross said, beat her hair into submission, to do something that it's not supposed to do. And so I did have to, it sounds like any hairstyle with work, but in particular, it's layered when it comes to our hair. The issues and the stigmas behind it. But I did send a picture to a boss. Hey, I'm getting this done. This is what I'm going to do. And they were like, go for it. So the only thing I did encounter, I think when I first did it, when I came back, I was supposed to be in studio. I was going out to LA to anchor. And so then it was a little bit of hesitation on like, well, do we go for it there? Do we not? So we took them out. And in hindsight, I wish I hadn't. And then the next go around, when I went back out to LA, I actually did have my twist in, and I wore it on set. So it's an easy hairstyle for obviously someone like myself that likes to work out, but also, protective styling. And you're wearing your beautiful curls today. I'm trying to get mine, trying to figure out mine because I've straightened it for so long. But I think it's important to embrace that part. Braids are beautiful. I love them. I'll probably get them again. And I felt really empowered actually wearing that style on air.
MLS, when you think about it, there's not too much of a large Black fan base there. So as a Black woman and you're familiar with the sport, how do you plan to attract a larger, Black African American fan base to the league?
I think just being here, covering, specifically just covering a team. There's been a lot of other Black women reach out in my DMs and on Twitter and stuff like that. Just like representing basically, and just your presence alone, kind of speaks volumes, and then you engage, right? So if someone reaches out to you, you try to engage them too, but there are Black women, there are Black people. I mean, I played soccer growing up. My team at Georgia State, that was actually the most Black teammates I had ever had, even just growing up. I was always typically the only one, or maybe there was only one other one, but we had a pretty good mix at Georgia State. So we're out there, but there's just a lack of diversity from that standpoint on the soccer front. So now, and I didn't think about it when I was getting into this field, but now, I guess I kind of am the only one. I'm still new, so I hope I'm not missing anybody. But yeah, it's great to be able to represent from that aspect, and hopefully it will open up the doors for other young women that enjoy the game as much as I do.
You touched a little bit on your childhood. And I know that growing up, your father was an NFL coach. So what was that like?
It was a lot of fun. And it was normal. It was all I ever knew. My dad started playing for the Patriots, and I'm a terrible daughter here. I think it was like 79 through 86. And before he had a horrible career-ending injury, and then he started coaching. So he played and coached for about 30 years. So my entire life, this is all I've ever known, is being somehow linked to sports. It's been kind of cool because like my dad, it never felt like, I'd say on the player side of things, you're busy, but on the coach's side of things, you're always in that office. But growing up, my dad was so present, even though he maybe wasn't there. I don't have any memories of feeling like, oh man, dad didn't see this. If he was home, he was going to one of my games, whether it was soccer or basketball. The only time I think that he never got to see me play in college. We couldn't link up our schedules, but that's been it. My dad's an amazing dad, and I had an amazing experience. It's given me such a unique perspective in covering the NFL and in covering sports in general.
You transitioned from covering the NFL to covering Major League Soccer, and you're already familiar with it, but what are you most excited about with, covering the MLS?
What I've been doing these, there's a little Instagram show that I do called that's the CLT for Charlotte. I'm conditioned to say Charlotte MLS. Now the name's out there, so I can say Charlotte FC. And so it's such a small world. Every sport, every business, people always end up saying that because you kind of know somebody, but the soccer community has been so welcoming. And it's so funny because sometimes I'll do an interview with someone and then they're like, oh yeah, you want to talk to so-and-so? I'm like, I would love that. They're like, oh, here's his contact, reach out. And it's like, okay, cool. So that's been a lot of what's happened. And virtually anyone that we've asked to come on, the producer and I, to come on and just sit and talk with me on Fridays or whenever, if we have to tape it, they said yes. And we've had some national team players, some really great people roll through. It's been really cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your words of wisdom, your advice, just taking the time out of your schedule to chat with me.
Oh, no problem. I'm so happy to.
Yes. So it's been a pleasure having you on this Who Not Do series. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.